Used to being in the right.
Okay, so we're going to be starting now. It's exactly 8 o'clock. So welcome. We are being live streamed on LinkedIn, and I'm running this through Zoom. So there might be a slight delay in the timing because obviously there is a delay between the different platforms. So I think last time we worked out, it's about 15 seconds delay. Okay, so ECBA, what does this all mean for everybody? There have been some changes that the IIBA put out recently. So I thought I would just take you through some of those changes and explain what they are. Nothing to be worried about in terms of your exams, in terms of what it is that you, oh, hello, Valerie from Hawaii. Nothing to be concerned about in terms of your preparation, your course, your, everything else. What you do need to understand is how you're going to apply and take advantage of the retake for those who would want to do that. So that's what we're going to be covering today. I suppose I just said that. For those who don't know me, my name is Deirdre Caren. I'm the founder of Agora Insights, and my goal is to help business analysts and business architects reach their learning objectives or their learning goals. So we work all over the world. I'm very proud of what we've achieved so far, my team and I. So thanks for joining me on this session. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to be covering the new ECBA application process and just look at the kind of pros and cons of that. We'll be looking at, does this mean there's an expiry date and so forth? We'll be looking at your education and your training, so what steps you would need to take there, and of course the updates we have from our side in terms of our course, and then taking advantage of the retake if you need to. So that's open to everybody. It's got nothing to do directly with what we offer as in training. This is around your application for your exam. Okay. So prior to the end of April, you had to complete this full process to be able to apply for your exam. So basically you had to, log in, you had to pay an application fee once you've become a member and you've updated your profile and so forth. You also had to log professional development hours and then pay your exam fee and take the exam. Now that has all changed. You no longer need to pay the exam fee, but what they have done is they've joined the fee. So it's not going to be cheaper. It's going to be basically the same amount. And then you don't have to have professional development hours. This doesn't mean you shouldn't study because you won't pass the exam if you don't study. So I'll take you through that. But what it has meant is it makes the entry a little bit easier. There's less paperwork to do. And so you would log in, create your profile, and go through the different steps. Okay, so what has changed? Well, as I mentioned, late April, the IIBA announced that there's no longer an application process. And the reason why you had to have an application process was because you had to log your professional development hours. So now it's going to be a completely separate, there's going to be no application anymore, but the exam fee is going to be more expensive. So that has gone up from what it was. It works out to the same thing. So yeah, let me just quickly check here 1 second. Okay. Next, we have, I've just got a notification that we cannot see the live stream. I'm going to have to just check that in 1 minute. If you don't mind. Make sure that setting is on. It shows it is running, so I'm not quite sure at this point, but we'll carry on with the session. Okay, so the application, as I mentioned, you've got a higher fee that is occurring, and we obviously want to make sure that you understand that this is just because the application fee has gone, but that's why it appears a higher price. So what do you need to do in order to be eligible to take the exam? So remember, in all of these exams, whether you do in ECBA, CBA, or CBA, you have to meet certain criteria to actually be able to take the exam. So obviously, if you are a very experienced business analyst, there is a barrier to entry. In other words, you have to have had that experience and all of that. But for those who are entering the market of business analysis, you do not need to have, you do not need any of that, that criteria. So all you need is you need to obviously register with IIBA. You need to agree to the code of conduct that they prescribe and the terms and conditions. You don't need to have any experience or any training prior to that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't learn. Again, I'll just re-emphasize that. Okay, so step one, you would purchase the exam. Now, this is after you've become a member, after you've completed your forms and done all of that. This is just the steps to do the exam. So if you remember, I showed you earlier, you still have to, do those 2 steps. We are now talking about this step here. So, sorry, let me just go ahead. So you're going to purchase the exam, just some requirements. You will have 12 months to schedule it. This means if you want to plan ahead and go, all right, I want to write this exam, you now can purchase the exam, and then you have 12 months in which to book the exam. There are 2 separate processes. So you have to book you have to, pay for the exam, and then you can go to the calendar and you can book when you would like to write the exam. And you can change those dates, but you have 12 months. So in other words, you can say, oh, I want to write my exam in July, for instance. And then what will happen in 12 months, you will, not be able to write. But let's say you decide, oh, in July, I don't want to write my exam because all these other things are happening. You can reschedule, and you have to reschedule at least 48 hours before your scheduled exam. So you have flexibility. You can put it in there. You can arrange all of that. So do make sure that you understand when you want to apply and when you're going to write your exam. All right. So if you do not complete it in a year, then your fees are it's done. So you can get a $50 administrative refund if that happens and you have to apply and all of that. All right, so here you just have to agree to the code of conduct, the professional standards, and the terms and conditions as set out by the IIBA. Now, the code of conduct is actually quite important because whatever you put into your applications, this could be audited. So you need to recognize that there are some strict rules around this. If learners, for instance, say that they are a CCBA level, but they actually have no experience, then they just won't even pass the code of conduct. So do make sure that you read through the code of conduct, that you understand what is being said, and that you understand what the consequences are if you don't follow the code of conduct. So that's a simple form. That's not difficult, but just make sure you read. Next is to study and prepare. Now, this is where companies like myself and Agora Insights, should I say, we help you understand the BABOK Guide. Now, it sounds very easy to just go and write an exam, but there's a whole set of activities required in terms of understanding what your questions will be, understanding what the requirements are. What does it even mean? What do the different chapters mean? So for those who are readers, that's a good start. But for those who are not really good at reading heavy BABOK Guide books, you probably want to have some training involved with that, and particularly with businesses. So we are an accredited training provider with the IIBA, or an endorsed provider with the IIBA, and we do cover, basically everything in the BABOK Guide. And I'll go through some of those steps. Now, in terms of your exam, preparing for your exam, this is all done online. So this is a Proctor exam, which means that you're not allowed to have anything around you. You're allowed a clear glass of water. This is inappropriate. It's not clear. It's pink. And you will need to complete 50 multiple choice questions in 1 hour. So that's approximately a minute, just over a minute. And so this is all around the BABOK Guide. So the test itself is not difficult. What is difficult is learning the content. And so if we look at what we do in this particular space, is we cover all of the different chapters. We also provide you with a scenario so that you understand what business analysts do, particularly if you're an entry-level candidate and you've never done this before. This would be an important thing to understand. You also have something called your learning blueprint or your exam blueprint, and describes what it is you need to learn in these different areas, and what are the things that you need to understand in terms of your BABOK Guide. And then we have the knowledge areas. So the knowledge areas are 30 tasks that business analysts do. And all of these tasks we cover in your BABOK Guide. Now, in your exam, you're not required to write any tests around the strategy analysis or the solution evaluation. And that is because it implies that you've had no experience in business analysis at all, and there you wouldn't know how to evaluate a solution or how to do strategy around business analysis areas. But it would mean that you have to study what business planning is, business analysis planning and monitoring is, elicitation and collaboration, life cycle management of your requirements, as well as how to define requirements. So those areas are covered, but in terms of the training, we cover everything as to what a business analyst should know. So here's how your exam is broken down. You have your key knowledge areas. So these are the areas where you'll be tested and examined on. So you have the business analysis planning and monitoring, which is chapter 3 of your BABOK Guide, and that is worth 5% of your points. Then you've got elicitation, which is chapter 4, which is 20%, along with chapter 5, which is 20%, and then the biggest chapter in terms of one part content is chapter 7, which is 25% of your exam. And then 30% is made up of these different sections, which is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 9, and chapter 10. And so the bulk of that is around the techniques that you would use, and that all accumulates to 30%. So as I said, 2 chapters will not be examined, but the rest of your BABOK Guide will be examined. And it is really important to understand that you will only pass your exam if you pass every single one of these 5 knowledge areas, or there's more knowledge areas, but these 5 sections. So you have to get more than 70% for each of these scores. So although you may think, oh, this is only 5%, I don't want to do I don't want to spend too much time studying that. If you don't pass that, you won't pass at all. So please be mindful of those key areas. All right, so review the exam information. This is where, we spoke about the proctor exam, and you do need to understand some of these requirements when doing your exam. So whether you have just decided you're going to give it a go and try it, you still have to understand some certain things. So you will have to use Google Chrome. There are other browsers that they say are available, but it's not easy to navigate through. I tried it myself. I'm not saying it won't work for you, but it certainly didn't work for me, and I went for the Chrome option. You have to, like I said, there must be nothing around. You're going to have somebody watching you all the time. You have to provide things like an ID book or an identification that could be, for instance, a passport as well. It depends on the different countries. Like, for instance, in New Zealand, we don't have an identity book. So you could use things like your driver's license and things like that, or your passport, as I mentioned. But it depends on the country. So whatever identity you use in your country is applicable in this particular case. If you do not meet the requirements on your exam day, you will not be able to take the exam. So this is quite an important part of ensuring that you can actually take it. Now, I do want to say it's quite stressful for somebody, to be at home worrying about the technology and all of those things. So do prepare yourself just mentally to say, I'm going to be spending half an hour checking my technology, making sure everything's correct. Try check your technology at least a day or so before to make sure that you meet the requirements, because you don't want to have that stress on exam day. So do make sure that you understand what it means to go through a proctor exam and what that means in terms of what you need in terms of your technology. All right, so scheduling your exam. How would you schedule the exam? Obviously, your goal is to pass, right? Now, so I often say to people, please make sure that you do it on a day that suits you, right? So if you are a really busy person and then you try write the exam just after you finished a long day at work, it's probably not going to be the best time for you. So it is going to be best if you focus on ensuring you have everything working, and that you are fresh and ready to write the exam. So some people are really good at night. Some people are really good at, in the mornings, or on the weekends or during the week, or get your boss to give you some time to take off. But make sure that you are scheduling a time that suits you. So remember, you can schedule any time because it's an international exam. So whatever time suits you. From the IIBA perspective, you're going to have to log in with your credentials. You're going to have to provide the profile. So remember, this is now when you are scheduling your exam. So you need to make sure that you have all of this information available, and you need to view the details and schedule accordingly. All right, so getting certified, this is the big one. So as I mentioned, the exam is 1 hour. So it's not horrible in terms of compared to other exams, which are like 3.5 hours, which, you need a toilet break and you need other things. You do not get a toilet break with this one. So make sure that you're prepared with that. And here you would just log in with your credentials again. So you would make sure that you're going via the IIBA. This is important because a lot of people think you just go to the exam site. No, there's a whole process you have to go through. So everything is governed via the IIBA. and you'd have to log from your profile page, and you'd have to go through that certification process and then launch the exam. So the proctor will then actively work with you to make sure that you're continuing to meet those requirements, and that person will be watching you throughout the exam. You can ask questions. You are not allowed to move your mouth. You have to keep your mouth closed when you write exams. You are not allowed to, like I say, take notes. You're not allowed to have a copy of the BABAC guide. You're not allowed to have any of that. This is a closed book exam, and you are required to understand the body of knowledge. So you have to be prepared for what the exam is all about. So that's really about getting certified. Now, as I mentioned, the IIBA is offering a free retake. So any of those who've already, maybe tried the exam and haven't been quite successful, or those who want to quickly try it out and retake it this month, you can do that. So they're offering that 100% free to take a retake exam. You will have to go onto their website and obviously be a member and obviously take advantage of that rebate that they offer, but it's 100% free. So all those who have tried previously or those who are currently learning, you might want to take advantage of this. Maybe take the exam and then see how it goes, and then do a rebate a retake if you want to. So that in essence has been the change. What this means for us from our course is we won't be doing interactive anymore. We will just be doing our classic and our professional training on these. The content is exactly the same. There's no difference. It's just you don't need to have training hours in terms of applying for your exam. So that's been the major changes that have happened over this time. And yeah, so I think we've covered everything. Yeah, so thanks, Andre. The retake exam expires at the end of May. At the moment, according to the IIBA website, this it is not being confirmed that it'll be extended. Yes, so this is really important. You need to understand that this is not going to change. They're not going to go, oh, sorry, you missed it by one day or whatever. Also check the days, because if you're in different time zones, these things do matter as well. So make sure that you've checked the days for these different things. All right, so I think I've covered most of it. Are there any questions that anybody has? I'm just going to quickly open up the documents that are available that you can download as well. Okay. Can I use the rewrite exam for the first time before? Okay, so what this means is you've got to apply for the exam first, right? So you've got to write the exam normally. But what it's saying is if you aren't successful in your exam, you can rewrite it. So if you've never done the exam yet, you still have to do that first. And then if you aren't successful, you can get a retake that is totally free in this month, the end of May. Did you provide the link, Andre? Okay, great. Hopefully everyone can see that. So that's the full exam questions, answers, etc. Are you looking for any study tips? Just reading through all of this. Okay. So if we're not getting any further questions, I'm probably going to end the session. It's been short and sweet, but now is a great time. You can ask me anything around your ECBA learning and preparation. Give it a few more minutes. Yeah, Rajesh. Great. So you can go through. So if you are a student of ours, like Rajesh, you can go in and do all your mock tests, and you can prep, and you can see how well you're doing, and try it out and see if you can get past the exam. Absolutely. So you can log in and go through your scores and how well you're doing. Now, I do want to advise everybody, aim for at least a 75% score, because like I said, every single chapter that's listed, you have to pass every chapter. So try get to that score. We think the exam is slightly less than that, but you never know what questions you're going to get. So I don't like to say, oh, the exam pass is 65%, because you don't know what questions you're going to be asked. So rather focus on trying to get 75% in each of those, and using mock tests like we offer is really good, so you can see how close you are to the exam pass. You're most welcome, Valerie, and enjoy your oncoming summer. Lucky you. I suppose it's usually warm there, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so mock tests, a comment here from Andre, mock tests also help people get exam fit. This is so important, right? Now, although you only write an exam for 1 hour, which is not super long, but what I mean by exam fit is that you can sit for a full hour and do these practice tests and not get flustered or too worried. You can just go through the exam simply. So when we have mock tests like we do on our site at the moment, that means we're simulating what it means to take the exam. And this is important because when you are doing your exam, you don't want any surprises. You don't want to sit there and go, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pass this exam. I didn't expect a question like that. So make sure that you understand how the exam is structured, but also take some practice tests. It's a great way to learn. Another question. I have already done the mock test, but unable to see it now. Okay, so we'll work with that. So Rajesh, just work with Andre. You guys can sort that out. Yeah, so absolutely will any of our previous learners who want to get an extension, we do offer these in our courses. So in other words, if you've tried this a year ago and your time has expired and you want to try again, certainly we can help you with that. So please just contact Andre or our support team to help set that up. That's not something I deliberately do. Okay, support email, great, thanks, Andre. Okay, so those who have tried, this is a great opportunity for you to give it a go, do the test, see how well you do, and then you can, have a chance to retake that test. Obviously, you need to practice and you need to see how long it's going to take you, and you need to do a whole lot of things. So I think it is going to be really important that you understand that, but take the opportunity. Why not? So especially those who've been studying now for some time, take the opportunity to do the test. All right, so just to let everyone know, you can contact us at support@agorainsight.com. Thanks, Andre. for existing learners and those who have questions about the exam and the training associated with the exam. We have everything on our site, but we're more than happy to help anybody who has questions around the exam. For those who've never been a business analyst ever before, this is a great career, still in demand, but obviously you need to learn. Having a badge is not the only thing that requires you to be a business analyst. So passing an exam is one very important step, but understanding business analysis is probably more important in the long term. Okay, I'm going to end this session now. Just one thing on the live stream, I will get back to those comments or questions because I obviously cannot do that via multiple interfaces, but I will get back to you there. But you're more than welcome to ask further questions on our platforms. More than happy to help, and good luck everybody and happy learning. Okay, great. Let me